Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain. And wow, it has been a busy Friday. I don't even know what video this is for today, but we got access to the Q8 test servers for Splinterlands, the new rank reward systems, to be able to test that out. And not only that, but we're able to get access to the current test reward cards, the 12 new reward cards that are scheduled to come out at the end of this month. And we can see some of their stats and begin to play with them. Now, all of these stats, similar to the Chaos Legion deck when it came out on the QA server, are subject to change, so keep that in mind. The final iterations or versions of the cards that are going to be hitting the game in about, well, a week and a half or so will probably look different, but we can see kind of where we stand today. And we'll go through each one of these cards, these 12 cards, and get kind of our first impressions of the cards. Now, let's get into it. The first card here, starting with fire, is the Bloodmaker. This is a 5-mana common card. It starts at level, actually let's switch to regular foil. It starts at level 1 here with 2 archery damage, 3 speed, 3 health, and scatter shot. It goes up to 3 range damage at level 4, and it gets cripple at level 6, and at max level it's going to have 4 range damage with actually 6 speed and 5 health. So this card, if we go back to its level 1 version, is a nice addition possibly to a Jotun team. It gives a second scattershot unit to Jotun in addition to the Gem Meteor. So this could be interesting for those Jotun teams that like to have some mid-range speed with some mid-range damage and scattershot. The second card that is available to fire is the legendary card here, and this is Countess Sinash. Now, she is an 8-mana legendary fire reward card. At level 1, she's going to have 3 range damage, 4 speed, and 4 health with opportunity and life leech, and that's a great starting stat line. She reminds me a little bit of Lyra the Dark from the Death Team in some ways, but is certainly different. So at level 2, she is going to get Camouflage. At level 3, her range damage is going to go to 4, and she's going to get Affliction. And at max level, she will get Swiftness. So she is an interesting card in that she combines damage with support abilities and also increased survivability. So a little mix of everything here at 8 mana. And what is interesting here is the Camouflage and the life leech playing together nicely. And then you've got, for the first time, Opportunity and Affliction at the same time. As far as I can remember, that combination is fairly unique. And a quick check of splintercards.com verifies that fact. With Affliction, there is not another card with Opportunity and Affliction, so that's a first for Splinterlands. And this card is not only very good, certainly with Jotun, but it could be a nice counter against Jotun. And the reason for that is because you have the Camouflage and you have the Opportunity. And as was mentioned on my stream earlier today, Jotun has a lot of, let's say, low mana, low health archers. And with this card, Countess Sinash, you have Opportunity that can take out those archers at a decent speed and with decent damage, so maybe one-shotting those. And really, the only dangerous unit to Countess Sinash might be a Pyromaniac that has the blast and the sneak ability. Otherwise, she's probably going to be safe from Jotun's initial volleys for the first couple rounds. So definitely a very interesting card, and what looks like to be possibly one of the most valuable cards in this new legendary set. Now, if we go to the water splinter, let's take a look at what we have here. The first card is going to be a 4-mana common called the Mirror Dampier, and this card has 1 range damage, 2 speed, 4 health with life leech at level 1. It gets cripple at level 4, goes to 2 range damage at level 5, and gets snare level 9 and 3 range damage at level 10 at max level. This card is interesting. I don't use ranged too much with Kelia necessarily. For example, the Kulu Swim Hunter, a decent range card just from a stat perspective. I just don't find a lot of use cases to bring it with a Kelia team. We'll see here how the Mirror Dampier works in the meta moving forward. It doesn't look that impressive. The cripple with archery is nice because if you do hit a shield, you're still doing some damage. And the life leech is always a solid ability. The life leech with the cripple, I don't think is going to count as damage though, if it hits a shield. So keep that in mind. Now, the next card for the water splinter here is going to be this 3-mana epic, the Tidebiter. At level 1, it has 1 melee damage, 4 speed, 4 health with reach, and it gets 2 melee damage at level 2. It gets the Reflection Shield ability at level 3, and it gets 3 melee damage at level 5, and then it gets True Strike at max level. So this card is interesting. It's a low mana epic, probably similar to Igor Darkspear, which is also a low mana epic. It has reach, it has 2 melee at level 2, and it goes up to 3 melee at level 5. So for the mana cost, it does a decent amount of damage. That's probably why it's an epic. The Reflection Shield will protect it from blast, as an example, and thorns. I don't know, it seems okay. Doesn't seem super great. We'll see as we use the card and see how it performs here during the QA test here this week. This next splinter is going to be Earth. The first card to discuss is the Vampire Bat, a 3-mana common, 1 melee damage, 3 speed, 3 health with flight. And looking at this card, it looks like it could be a more expensive version of the Chaos Agent, but for Earth. At level 4, it gets 2 melee damage. At level 6, it gets dodge. And at max level, it's going to have 3 melee damage with flight, with 5 speed and dodge. So this is interesting. It's a low mana common. Definitely be used in like a little league scenario. It could be at the higher levels with the 5 speed, flight, and dodge. Be a nice addition to protect your back line for cheap from sneak attack. You've got favorable scenarios such as super sneak, equal opportunity, and melee attacking from any position, where this card could be valuable as well at a cheap mana cost. So definitely not a terrible card for a common. I could see some interesting use cases here for this card at 3 mana. Now, the final Earth card is one that we're familiar with. It was unveiled in the Town Hall. It's the Vampiric Blossom, 5 mana, rare card with Oppress, 2 range damage, 2 speed, and 5 health. This is the second reward card for Earth with this range focus. And then you have the legendary Isa also with range. So there's a lot of ranged modern cards being dropped in the Earth Splinter, which is interesting, considering Obsidian is the current Splinter with magic. So we'll have to see if a legendary summoner is able to take advantage of some of these earth ranged units moving forward. And I mean, maybe something like a close range, maybe for Earth's legendary summoner. I don't know. That could be interesting with Isa, with the Scavenge, also with the Minari Seedsmith as well. But I digress. We're here talking about the current reward cards. And at level 1, this card has Oppress. It gets the Death Blow at level 4 and gets immunity at level 8. It ramps up its damage to 3 damage at level 6. So this card is obviously a hard counter to like a Llama Cube in a Noxious Fume battle. It can be effective also against Llama Golem or Llama Kron as well in such scenarios with the Death Blow and the immunity. So it's also pretty useful anytime you're envisioning going up against something that doesn't have an attack. So things like an Onyx Sentinel, a Lord A, possibly Bakjira and others. It can definitely do some damage with Death Blow. It's going to take its damage either to 4 damage or to 6 damage, if it has, the Oppress against those units. So that's kind of nice outside of a Noxious Fume scenario. Now, Life has some very interesting reward cards here to talk about. The first here is the Volguin, I think. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, so I apologize to the lore folks if I'm mispronouncing that. But this is a 2-mana rare card. Base stats at level 1 are 1 melee damage, 3 speed, 2 health with Scavenge. It picks up 2 melee damage at level 3. It gets dodge at level 5, and it gets enrage at max level, and it gets 3 melee damage at level 7. So looking at this card, it's very interesting because, again, if you have a scenario like Super Sneak or Equal Opportunity or melee attack from any position, this is an interesting card because if you stick it in the middle, maybe like the 5 spot or the 4 spot of your lineup, in those scenarios, it's going to be able to attack, and it's going to grow stronger with that Scavenge over the course of the battle. So in reality, by the time it gets to the front of your team, for 2 mana, it might have double-digit health at that point in time, and if it's max level with Enrage, it definitely would have double-digit health there. So pretty interesting kit here. It's got decent speed with 4 speed and dodge with the Enrage at max level, and again, the Scavenge to ramp up its health. So for 2 mana, if played correctly, this card could really be a value of like 8 or 9 mana at the end of the match when it gets all of that health ramped up. So it's somewhat of a niche card for maybe how you would use it effectively, but even if you just for 2 mana stuck it kind of in that 5 spot, or maybe in the 4 spot for 2 mana, it might not be terrible, because if it survives and it gets up to the front of your lineup, you basically have maybe a third off tank there to play with for 2 mana cost. So definitely a very interesting card. I like this one, and it looks like it could be fun to play. Now this next card is a legendary card, 7 mana. It is Jared Scar, and at 7 mana at level 1, it has 5 melee damage, 2 speed, 2 armor, 4 health with Bloodlust. So it's our second card in addition to Grum Flameblade on the fire team that now has Bloodlust, the Gladiator skill in the game for the regular ranked rewards. And this card is very nice. Possibly, I would say that for my initial take, the 2 most valuable cards obviously are the 2 legendaries here, the Countess Sinash and Jared Scar. Now, Jared Scar is nice because he gets True Strike at the 2nd level here, which kind of negates his slow speed here of 2, similar to Grum Flameblade. He gets Piercing at level 3, and his damage ramps up to 7 melee damage at max level, which is pretty insane. His weakness is he doesn't have a lot of durability, so he's got 2 health and 2 armor and 6 health at max level. So he's not going to, be super strong from a durability perspective. So using him in scenarios such as Equalizer, or again, Super Sneak, melee attacks from any position, or Equal Opportunity would be ideal for this card. And it's going to pack a punch, especially at max level with Piercing and 7 melee damage and True Strike. And then it's got Bloodlust, so it just kills something and gets even stronger. So if you can stick this again at the 4 or 5 spot in your lineup and let it, similar to the Volguin, which is the 2 mana life card, if you can stick them in the middle of your lineup, they can build up with Scavenge, and in this case with Bloodlust, and really become a problem for your opponent. And because they're melee units in the middle of your lineup, really the only way to get to them is with Opportunity, perhaps, maybe Blast or Scatter Shot. So limited options to negate some of their ramp up there for health and overall stats. So I really am liking what they're doing here with these life reward cards. Seems very synergistic, seems fun to play. Maybe not so fun to play with Sloan, but certainly maybe with Lorna or with Mother Kala in the modern format could be very interesting. Now for Death here, we have the Ever Hungry Skull, also one of the ones previously revealed on the Town Hall. This is just a great card. It's a 5 mana common card, 2 melee damage, 2 speed, 7 shield, and 1 health at the level 1. And then it ramps up to 3 damage at level 4. It gets Thorns at level 6, and then it gets Return Fire at max level, and it gets up to 11 shields at max level. Now, obviously, its weakness is magic, or, well, just magic basically, or poison, because it only has 1 health. But if used in an Equalizer scenario, it's super, super strong. If used as maybe a backline defender, also very strong there with that large shield total. And yeah, you could also certainly use it in Equal Opportunity, melee attack from any position, and Super Sneak. So this is a great card, probably going to be a must-have for everyone. Probably similar to the Pelacor Bandit, or the Pelacor Conjurer, or the Pelacor Mercenary in the current version of Chaos Legion reward cards. Just a common card that everyone's going to want to have at the bronze level all the way on up. So yep, really good card. Definitely see this being meta for a long time. Now this next card is the Revealer. It's a 4 mana epic card. Very nice to have stun at level 1. So if you're in bronze or silver, having a stun available at level 1 is very nice. It only has 1 magic damage, 2 speed, and 4 health, but it's also fairly inexpensive at 4 mana. Now it gets 2 magic damage at level 3. It's going to get immunity at level 4, and it's going to get Reflection Shield at level 6. So this card becomes interesting in Noxious Fume battles because of the immunity and the Reflection Shield. Obviously, the stun is always useful. So it's an interesting card, and Death is already a really strong splinter when it comes to Noxious Fume battles. And I think this just gives another tool in your toolbox to use for that scenario moving forward. So definitely an interesting card. Anytime you have stun on a low mana, kind of little league type card, very valuable. And then when you add other things for utility, such as immunity, even nicer. Again, I'm not sure how often Reflection Shield would come into effect. It would obviously negate things like Magic Reflect, but it's doesn't have a lot of damage, 2 damage and 5 health. So while Magic Reflect is always not nice, it's probably not super detrimental to this card, unlike Jin Bilchka, for example. So let's take a look at Dragon. We have one Dragon card here. I really like this card. It is the Vampiric Infiltrator. I like the card art, I like the colors, and I like the card. So all in all, thumbs up, Splinterlands team, nicely done, Nate and crew. So this card here is a 4-mana rare card for the Dragon Splinter. 1 melee damage, 2 speed, 2 health, with sneak and double strike. Anytime a card has double strike, I'm interested automatically just because I love this ability. Sneak is nice because you don't have something like a Silver Shield Assassin in the modern format, but now you have even something possibly better with the Vampiric Infiltrator because it's a dragon card, not just a single splinter card like the Silver Shield Assassin was. So this card is really great at level 1 for bronze and silver players to use. It's doing essentially 2 sneak attack damage per turn with that double attack at its base level. And then when it gets to level 4, it's going to get 2 damage per attack, so it's going to go up to 4 melee attack damage. With sneak, it gets cripple at level 5, and then it gets affliction at level 8. So this is a great card. I mean, the cripple is nice because, again, if you are hitting something in the back row for the sneak attack with a shield, you're still going to be able to do significant damage with that double strike. You're going to be able to do 4 health damage even if you're bouncing off the shield. I guess it wouldn't be 4 health damage. I guess it would be 2 damage total for the double strike to their health. But you know, it's nice to have that cripple ability. It negates some of the disadvantages of melee or ranged attacks against shields. And again, 4 damage with a sneak attack unit is very nice. It doesn't have the poison, which the Silver Shield Assassin has. It doesn't have as much damage as the Silver Shield Assassin, but it's still very good. It's almost half the mana cost of the Silver Shield Assassin as well, which is great. You could really make some nice sneak attack teams here with, you know, Vampiric Infiltrator, Uraeus, and, for example, Pelicord Bandit in the modern format. Very, very nice cards. I really like this card. The Affliction is interesting as well. Similar to Countess Sinash, you're able to spread Affliction now to units other than kind of the front tank now, with some of these units with opportunity and sneak now having Affliction. So all in all, I really like this card. I would probably say it's in my top 3. I would say right now my top 3 would be Jared Scar, Countess Sinash, and the Vampiric Infiltrator, with our friend here, the Everhunger Skull, being tied probably in that list as well. Now, the last card to talk about is the neutral card for the rewards, and this is a legendary neutral card. It is the Venator Kinjo. It's a 2-mana legendary card, neutral, 1 melee damage, 2 speed, 1 health, level 1. It's got Reflection Shield and Camouflage. And this is an interesting card because it's kind of like an annoying card that you really have to wait till the end of the battle to get rid of, because it's camouflage, so you can't hit it directly, and it's immune to blast, so you can't kill it with blast. So basically, this is going to be the last card that you'll be able to kill on your opponent's team at the end of the battle. And at level 1, maybe not super great, but it's only 2 mana, right? But at level 2, it becomes very interesting because it gets immunity. And now for Noxious Fume battles, you have a card that's hidden with camouflage, can't be killed by blast, and it's immune, so it's not being affected by poison. So again, this is going to be the last card to be able to get to if placed at the end of your lineup. So if you can basically stick this at the end and have something with healing in front of them, would be an interesting play in Noxious Fumes because, well, once you get to Fatigue, it's kind of all over anyways, but It's definitely an interesting card here to look at from Noxious Fume's strategy perspective. Now, it also gets support abilities at level 3 and level 4. You're going to get Slow at level 3, which is nice at the 2 mana, and you get Amplify at max level. So it's an interesting card from a support perspective. It's kind of bringing that Creeping Ooze at 2 mana and a neutral card in the Modern League at level 3, and it gives you an Amplify in neutral at 2 mana as well for all Splinters at max level. So yeah, I mean, a pretty interesting card. We'll have to play with it and see its best use, but you know, just looking at it initially, seems just like kind of an annoying card, and also a nice addition for Noxious Fume team compositions. So there you have it, some initial stat reveals for these 12 new Chaos Legion reward cards. Again, my top 3 or 4 are going to be Jared Scar, I like a lot here. Sorry, not this one. Jared Scar, the Legendary for life. Really looks fun to play with. Kind of along the lines of a Desert Dragon, but a lot more powerful in my mind. And then you've got Countess Sinash here, similar to Lyra the Dark, but different, obviously. You've got the Ever Hungry Skull for Death as a common card, just great all around. Really like this card. And then my number 4 card, probably tied with Countess Sinash here. I don't know, we have to stack rank them later maybe. But this Vampiric Infiltrator, also very cool. Great looking card, and also great stats as well. So there's my take. Hopefully this reveal has been beneficial and educational for you. If it has, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more timely updates like this around Splinterlands, and until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.